TNA Wrestling, the only company in the world that'll wait a month before returning after their biggest event and then spitting in the face of the fans who waited the entire time. I'm exhausted. Have a good one. Let's talk about it, I guess.
Uh-oh.
Yes, boy!
French toast is the exchange student that you have like a 3-week affair with.
Hey, we can see that you don't have pants on.
Somebody hit somebody with a pie. Do something.
Giovanni yelling we're out of time as we go off the air.
Giovanni yelling a lot of things tonight.
And welcome to the Mark It Down podcast.
Hi, everybody. I'm James Gisanti. This is the Mark It Down podcast. And on Thursday nights, this is the Gym Pack Zone because we're covering TNA Impact. I'm dead inside. I have been at war with the TNA fandom for the last month, who all defended this hiatus, this decision on TNA's part to take a month off after the biggest event of their calendar year, Bound for Glory, where they sold more tickets than they've ever sold before. They had one of the biggest gates that they've ever had, and coronated their new world champion. And just bye-bye. See you a month later. The first episode, the second episode, I kind of got it. You know, it's expensive to do TV right after a pay-per-view, going to a new city, deciding, transporting all your equipment, getting your roster there, doing everything. It's a lot. I get it. The third week for Halloween, a little bit harder, but I got it. It's Halloween the day before. Who's going to be really watching wrestling? And then the fourth week happened, and I didn't have an understanding anymore. But I kept being told it's not going to be a big deal. The excitement will be there. They're going to still be able to capitalize off of all this excitement, all of this hard work. And then tonight happened. And I was lied to. Tonight happened, and I have to pretend like I agree with this booking decision. I have to pretend that this makes sense in any way. Like, I need you guys to understand, yes, we are marks here. Yes, we sorry, you guys know the deal. When I'm by myself at the Gym Pack Zone, I got to do everything. I got to do the producing too, so I got to deal with social media. Hi, everybody, wherever you are, Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube. Appreciate all of you. I understand the notion of needing your baby face to overcome the obstacles, be on the chase. That's where the money is. Sure, I get that as a concept. But when you're white hot and you have a white hot champion like Mike Santana, you don't mess with the formula too much, too soon, and you don't do it. And I love this guy, and it breaks my heart to say it. You don't do it with a guy like Frankie Kazarian. I love Frankie. Frankie deserves to be TNA World Champion in his right, in his time, everything. This was not the time to do it. Not when you have more eyes on you than you've ever had before. This is so silly. I don't want to sound like I'm being a hater. I don't want to sound like I don't want good things for Frankie. I do. I want you guys to know, as mad as I am at TNA right now, I'm still rooting for TNA, but mother of God, this was a decision. Let's get through it. We can't go over the end of the night without talking about how we got there. The show starts with our new TNA World Champion, Mike Santana, in the middle of the ring, celebrating it with just the entire audience behind him. He tells us he agrees. He thinks it's been just a little too long since he's last seen us. It wasn't his decision, but he missed us and he was happy to be here. He spoke about how there was always a lot of doubt about him as champion, about him becoming champion, but he knew as long as he had us, he'd be able to do it. And he did at Bound for Glory, winning the TNA World Championship. It was a beautiful moment. It was a beautiful scene. And he could keep talking. He can keep getting the crowd behind him. He can keep doing his thing. But he knows there's a hungry TNA roster back there. It's not all about him. We got to keep the show going. And that's when he is interrupted by Ryan Nemeth. Ryan Nemeth, who we all love him. We all love to hate him. He's such a little twerp. He's such a little goon. He's such a little dweeb. And he demands the crowd acknowledge him. He demands that the crowd cheer him. And he's got a problem with Mike Santana, TNA champion Mike Santana. He's there on behalf of his big brother, Nick Nemeth. And eventually Mike just has enough of it. And says, let's do it. Let's have this match tonight. And that's how we get to our main event, which is Mike Santana defending the TNA World Championship against Ryan Nemeth. Guys, let me just finish this right now while I have a brief moment in between segments. I got to just handle social media. I see there are some people in the audience tonight. What did you guys think? Am I wrong here? I don't think I am. And I don't want to just be a Debbie Downer, but this just feels like a stupid decision. And I'm sure they think that it's fine. We're going to keep watching. And I am. I'm going to keep watching. But I don't want to hate watch. And that's what it feels like. But I guess it doesn't really matter. And there you go. I'm all done with social media. We get to our main event. We get to Mike Santana defending the TNA World Championship against Ryan Nemeth. And the match started. Thank you, Dan. I appreciate that. Okay. Not really where I was going, but okay. Man, to be your therapist. My favorite last dinner parties. Okay. Well, whatever makes you happy. What up, Maria? I'm dead. I'm just so angry. I don't know if you watched Impact tonight. I don't know if you. I can't say I enjoyed the show, but I watched the show and I enjoyed most of it. I guess that's not fair. I did enjoy the show. I just hate some of the decisions. Maria saying she will not be watching TNA ever again. I feel a lot of us feel the same way. As we get to the main event, Mike Santana comes out. The crowd is white hot. Ryan Nemeth also comes out. And again, he just demands that the crowd cheer for him. He gets on the microphone. He's berating the crowd. The referee is trying to get him to get into the action. And eventually we do. And Mike pretty handily just takes charge. He's dominating most of this matchup, hitting his spots, just looking like a stud, looking like a real chip. And Ryan's doing his part. He's absolutely selling beautifully for Mike. Mike getting in a lot of his usual spots, a lot of his signature stuff. And just as it looks like Mike is probably going to pick up the win, we see Nick Nemeth walking in the back with his Call Your Shot Gauntlet trophy. But as he's walking, he gets ambushed by somebody in a hoodie. We have no idea who it is. We can't see who it is. But Nemeth is just down and out, and the hoodied man walks away. As the match continues and Santana continues to have the upper hand, out comes through the crowd, I don't know where, just a mob of NXT talent. Robert Stone, Lexis King, the No Quarter Catch crew, just a mountain of men just obliterating Santana. They toss Nemeth out of the ring. The match goes to DQ. Santana just doing his best to fight them off. Eventually, as many TNA guys come out as they can. The Rascals come out, Steve Macklin comes out, the Hometown Man comes out, but they all one by one get dispatched by the NXT talent. And then they put Santana's arm in a chair. They wrap a chair around Santana's arm. And I believe it was Robert Stone just immediately slams the chair with his foot, stomps it, and just incapacitates Mike Santana, the TNA World Champion. They leave. We think it's over. There's only 2 minutes left in the show. And then our true main event, as Frankie Kazarian's music hits, the co-winner of the Call Your Shot Gauntlet trophy. Yep, that was a dumb decision back then. It's just as dumb now. Kazarian comes out and officially uses his portion of the trophy to cash in on Mike Santana. The referee, God bless him, did everything in his power, did not want to start the match, but was obligated to. I'm sure you could see in our thumbnail the look of disgust on his face during this bit. Kazarian immediately hits. It feels that way, Eric. Honestly, Eric saying must be reviewing an episode of TNA from 2005. Now, here's the fun bit. Frankie Kazarian couldn't even win the TNA World Championship back in 2005. 2005 would have made sense. Right now, Frankie hits his finisher, essentially the Deadeye. You know, if you're a Hangman fan, hits his finish. 1-2. Santana kicks out. Santana tries fighting back, tries getting some offense in, attacks Kazarian before going for his discus rolling clothesline. The lariat, unfortunately, his arm gives out at the pain too much after that chair shot. He hesitates, he stumbles, and this allows Kazarian to roll him up. 1, 2, 3. New TNA World Heavyweight Champion, Frankie Kazarian. Let's go to the comments real quick. We have some good ones. Maria saying Santana losing the TNA championship in his first title defense is BS. I don't want to hear about it. It's better to chase the title than have it. I agree. Look, there are some people who are just inherently better chasers than they are champions. There is more excitement with some guys chasing than actually being champion. We don't know with Santana. We didn't have the opportunity to even try with him as champion. This was TNA's first episode of Impact in a month. In a whole month. 4 weeks of television. Nothing. First week back. Just loses in his, I guess, technically second title defense. Sorry, Maria. That Ryan Nemeth match does count, I guess. This was silly, but we'll got to keep going through the comments. Dan agreeing with Maria. Eric saying, here's what they're going to do. Kazarian versus AJ Styles for the TNA championship. You know what? That would be fun. That would be great. And it's a nice way of revisiting the past, but that's not how it should be. I would love it if AJ won the TNA title. I would love it because you know what? That is a top contender. That is a top opponent from your main roster in WWE winning a title in TNA. That means a lot more than I love Trick Williams, but Trick Williams winning the TNA title. I wouldn't mind that. But AJ versus Kazarian should be a match that AJ has while as champion. It's wrong. Eric saying Santana and AEW would go hard. He fucked up. Santana is going to be losing to guys like Austin Theory soon. So here's the thing. I don't think Santana's leaving. I don't think Santana's going to NXT for quite a bit. I don't think this was the end. I think he's going to win the TNA title back. And this was probably just done to get people to talk, like shock value TV. But this wasn't the way of doing it, and this wasn't the time. We had spent so much time with a heel champion in TNA, a sometimes non-existent champion because Trick wasn't always there. We finally get the babyface to do it. We take a month off to then just have the heel do it again. It's just it was dumb. I don't care if he wins it back. I'm going to be happy for him, but the magic is gone now a little bit. And I can't say that he fucked up by leaving AEW because by all accounts, it did seem like Tony didn't have any desire to push him as a singles guy. And we've seen since he left AEW, his stock has risen. I know it's an indie, but House of Glory did wonders for his reputation. His time in TNA has done wonders for him as a singles competitor. And I'm always going to root for guys who are betting on themselves, whether they're leaving AEW or leaving WWE or ascending from TNA. I'm always going to root for those guys. I wasn't crazy about how Santana left AEW. I didn't like all the bad blood between him and Ortiz. It definitely felt like things were rockier than they should have been with him in the company. But again, I'm rooting for guys to succeed. So I was happy to see him land in TNA and be so successful. But my God, what a spit in the face this was, at least from my perspective. Eric saying it's the best way to have AJ not shit on a young guy than have a young guy beat AJ for the TNA title for sure. But unfortunately, I don't even know that that's how it's going to be. I think because this goes beyond me being a doom and gloom guy when it comes to how TNA has been booked. But we've seen that when it comes to TNA talent beating WWE talent, I guess specifically NXT talent at this point, the only names that have been able to do it on a large scale, like on a grand scale, have been people that have already been in WWE in some capacity, whether it's NXT or WWE, or guys that it's clear are going to be going to WWE or NXT first. And unfortunately, Frankie was not the only holder of the Call Your Shot Gauntlet trophy. He shares it with Nick Nemeth. I could very easily see Nick Nemeth. And by the way, for those who are unfamiliar with the Call Your Shot Gauntlet trophy, it essentially serves the same role as the Money in the Bank contract. You could cash in at any point, at any time. Does not matter if the champion is in the middle of a match, has just finished a match, whatever. So I could see AJ going on a little bit of a run defending the TNA title and then losing it via cash-in to Nick Nemeth, somebody who WWE is not going to be too upset about beating one of their stars. I'm going to keep going with the comments. Dan saying he feels the ship has sailed on Trick. I don't want to say that. He's still very popular, and as a heel, he's getting good heat, but he needs to get out of NXT. He needs to go to the main roster, and that'll be really that reset. Now, granted, going to the main roster from NXT is not what there's no guarantees. It's like being a Shawn guy doesn't mean you're going to be a Triple H guy. So we'll see how that goes for him, but I'm still holding out hope for him because he is a solid talent. Maria's saying it would have been better to see Santana versus AJ Styles. And to Eric's point, we might still get there. That Santana might take the title back from AJ. If that's in this scenario of him winning the TNA title from Kazarian. And I'd rather see Santana beating AJ than losing to AJ, as Eric pointed out very well. But I feel like we're cutting the legs out from Santana. It's official as of today. I believe it was reported by, I'm not sure if it was the Observer or SRS. Joe Hendry, officially WWE talent. He is no longer a TNA talent. This is your guy in TNA, Santana. Make him feel like it. And granted, he wrestled a match. He was attacked by a mob of NXT talent, had his arm destroyed by a chair shot, didn't immediately go down to Kazarian's finisher. He had to get rolled up. These are ways of protecting him, but it doesn't matter when the result is the same. Maria saying Kaz has fell off in performance. I think he's still very capable. It's just he's in his 40s. He's not who he was 20 years ago. Hell, he's not who he was 5 years ago. I think he's still a very capable performer, but it was just not the way to go. Not right now. Frankie Kazarian deserves to be TNA champion at some point in history. Not this point. Dan saying, I don't know what you're saying. I don't know who this is, and I feel like you're trying to box me in, and I'm scared. Fernando, what's up, Fernando? Welcome to the comments, buddy. Hope you're having a good one. Impact was trash tonight, Fernando says. I am inclined to agree with you. I enjoyed the overall show. I missed it. I have been clamoring for a month for TNA to come back, for Impact to be on Thursdays, so I don't have to watch Raw. But, like, this is... when you have such a butt ugly finish, it ruins the rest of the show. Eric saying AJ losing the TNA title at Mania to retire kind of goes hard. You're welcome. Hey, the bar is Joe Hendry is TNA World Champion at WrestleMania, jobbing, getting squashed by Randy Orton. Anything else that the TNA title could do at Mania has to be a step up. Has to be, right? So an actual match for the TNA title at WrestleMania, let's see how it goes. Fernando saying TNA bends over for WWE once again. Look, the AJ Styles stuff is conjecture. It's a very good concept of what could happen, especially after AJ's recent interview where he said he doesn't think he'll be allowed to wrestle in TNA. Bending over for WWE or not, this was just a rough creative decision. Whether this had WWE in mind or this is just TNA at work, this was just a bad creative decision, in my opinion. We're all familiar with what? I'm old. I don't know what these acronyms are. Maria saying Trick should be the surprise challenger for Cena at the Garden on Raw. Do we know that Cena's wrestling at the Garden? We know he's going to be there. We know they're doing something, but I didn't know if he was actually going to wrestle or not. If that was announced and I didn't hear it, please let me know. That'd be cool. Something to look forward to. I don't know what we're clapping, but we're clapping. You know it. What up? You know it. Thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate it. I forget who's your team. You know it. Let me know. Fernando saying this is worse than the finger poke of two. Look, I don't think this is going to be the thing that buries TNA as a company. That's already happened so many times before, but it just sucks when we have been so excited for TNA's growth. I know I have been very negative regarding the WWE TNA partnership, or should I say the NXT TNA partnership. It hasn't been my cup of tea, but I understand and I'm capable of recognizing the positives that came with it. There is so much more attention on TNA. Their numbers are so much better. It's a pipeline for very deserving talent if they want to be highlighted on a bigger level to get that chance to go to WWE via NXT. Those are the positives that I want to focus on, but there are obviously so many negatives as well that stop me from being able to appreciate it. And with TNA, who has just had such a history of up and down, being a roller coaster of emotions, I want to just be happy. I just want to be excited for what's next. And they historically do not allow their fans to do that or feel that. So I really, 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 really don't want to be the negative guy. I want to be the Mark who enjoys what he's watching. But man, all the air has just been sucked out of me. Sorry, guys. I'm ranting and raving. But yeah, we have a new TNA World Champion. Let's see. Let me just finish. Eric saying he thinks Danny is talking about Pokemon. When isn't he? It's very possible, almost likely. Maria saying she heard that Cena will be in action. That'd be great. I'd love that, but we'll see. And Fernando, just getting it. TNA always finds a way to TNA. I really just want to believe that one day my faith will be rewarded. Today was not that day. But alas, we persevere. Daniel saying, come to the dark side. I mean, regarding. I don't have much more to say about it right now. I'm sure I could keep ranting and raving, but I think I'll just be talking in circles at that point, and I don't want to bore you guys. Crazy stuff. We're back. Yeah. Anyway, going back to, I guess, the top of the show, or near the top of the show, after the initial Mike Santana and Ryan Nemeth in-ring back and forth, we go backstage with Mean Gia Miller, the hardest working woman in TNA, as she has the Knockouts champion, NXT star Kalani Jordan. They're talking about her winning at Bound for Glory, defeating Indy Hartwell, giving Indy Hartwell her first loss in TNA. And Kalani is then joined by Mara Shade, Lei Ying Lee, and Zaya Brookside, who are all trying to warm up to the champion, all trying to, welcome her into TNA, into their locker room, but she's not having anything of it, whether it's paranoia or disinterest. She doesn't trust them, and she believes the only reason they're trying to warm up to her is to get close to that title, that they will never win the Knockouts championship. Lei Ying Lee then just goes on a tirade in her native tongue, and Zaya translates it to the best of her ability and says basically that she called her in their words, I'm quoting, a see you next Tuesday. To even imply that on TV is nuts. But they said it. We're here. It happened. Kalani getting the last laugh saying, how funny you can spell, to Zaya Brookside. And just furthering establishing that Kalani has fallen to the dark side that Dan was mentioning. How is this best case scenario? Jericho beats Kazarian. I don't need 10 title Jericho. I don't think this is best case scenario for anybody. Yucky. No, thank you. We then go back ringside as Santino Marella, the director of authority, is sort of giving an address to TNA. It's been a month and acknowledging, trying to get things on track. He brings out Ava, NXT's general manager. They talk about the partnership. They talk about how successful it's been. They talk about how promising it continues to be. And that while Ava can't be in TNA every week, she is assigning somebody to be there in her stead. And of course, that is the liaison, Ariana Grace, Santino Marella's daughter. Again, they continue. She promises to help keep order between NXT and TNA. And Santino then sends us off saying, more to come. Guys, I'm about to cough. I got to mute real quick. I don't know what it is, but I just had a scratch. We then go to what was our first match of the night as Indy Hartwell takes on Danny Luna. Indy and Danny had been feuding prior to the break, prior to Indy's match with Kalani Jordan for the Knockouts title. Danny, who had turned heel, having betrayed her Spitfire partner Jody Threat and attacking Indy Hartwell with a chair. This match definitely had that grudge carry over. These guys still had a lot of animosity. Indy getting the upper hand, sending Danny to the outside. Danny going for that chair. The crowd didn't want her to do it. The referee did everything he could to stop her. Eventually, Danny does bring the chair in and goes after Indy, who blocks it, avoids it, drops Danny, and then decides enough is enough and uses the chair herself on Danny Luna. Indy gets disqualified, gets a measure of revenge, but does not feel satisfied. So I like when you see the baby faces have layers to them. They're not just pure white bread. I'm going to follow the rules. I don't get mad kind of baby faces. So I was happy to see Indy be willing to step up and attack her attacker. So well done. As we come back, I think this was either right before commercial or right after commercial. Eric Young is seen out and about with followers, masked followers. This just is a gimmick for him. This is just like a lifestyle for him at this point. Passing out flyers to any and all who will take them, preaching to any and all who will listen to him that the cleansing is coming. He's very frustrated that more people aren't listening to him, more people aren't heeding his warnings, but he assures, as I said, the cleansing is coming. Definitely coming across as one of those guys on the street carrying the sign saying the Armageddon is coming, the Rapture is coming. Some potential with this gimmick, some potential with this concept. Feels like a natural progression of his former heel group tactics. Obviously, the latest being the Northern Armory. Before that was, oh God, the Violence. I don't even remember at this point. I'm tired, guys. So him being just a preacher with no audience seems pretty interesting. I'm willing to give it a go for a little bit, but they're definitely going to progress a little bit faster. But hey, week one. We then go backstage as Indy Hartwell discusses what just happened in the ring, her frustrations with Danny Luna, her frustrations with what happened, and challenges Danny to a match tomorrow at Turning Point. Yeah, guys, they've been gone for a month, but don't worry. We're getting Impact and a special event tomorrow. Challenges Danny Luna to a no disqualification match. And I'm looking forward to it. They've really built up the animosity between the two. They built to this stipulation very well with the initial DQ, the initial attack with the chair, then the retribution tonight. So well done on TNA's part in terms of that story. We then go in the ring as the System make their entrance, rocking new music. The System, who went to war, actual war with Order 4 at Bound for Glory, coming out on top in Massachusetts. All of them look like stars. Alicia Edwards obviously taking so much damage. Thumbtacks, being dropped, being just attacked by the men. It was a great showing for her. She's definitely getting her roses tonight. All of the men giving her flowers. Her husband, Eddie, Moose, Eddie talking about how special it was, not just to go to war and win with his friends and his brothers, but with his ride or die, his wife, Alicia, and how it was special that they were able to do it in front of their children in the crowd. So that was cool. Moose talks about how, yes, they went to war, they came out the other end the victor, and Alicia proving how hardcore she was and how you should always trust in the System. Before Brian Myers could get on the mic, JDC grabs the mic. It was a little awkward, especially with what came after. They just decided not to let Brian Myers speak. JDC says that he's a little emotional. He had just gotten married 2 months ago. So basically a month before Bound for Glory. It explains why he was off TV for so long before Bound for Glory. And he has come to the decision with his wife that following Genesis in January, following TNA's pay-per-view in January, he will be retiring. He was very emotional throughout the promo, or at least was saying he was emotional. He said how TNA is the best locker room he's ever been a part of, one of the greatest companies he's ever worked for, and how much the fans here in TNA mean to him. He very clearly caught the rest of his System teammates off guard. They very clearly seem to not be aware of this declaration. It's at this point that the Rascals come in. Zachary Wentz, Trey Miguel, Myron Reed, and they say they can't just let JDC retire like this. They have too much history. They need to go one more time. The Rascals versus the System. Moose says he loves what he's hearing, but the problem is there's 4 of them and only 3 of the Rascals. It's at this point that they make the reveal that, you know, they know that things have been a little bumpy with this guy, but it's time for the family to reunite. They've talked to him and they're ready to do it. A fully formed Rascals unit tomorrow at Turning Point versus the System. They wouldn't say who it was. They wouldn't say by name. Commentary alluded to who it could be. We all have an idea of who it could be, unless there is a huge misdirect. Wes Lee is coming to TNA and rejoining his Rascals teammates. I forget what Wes Lee's like non-WWE name is. I think it's Desmond something. Desmond Xavier. So I am very, 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 very conflicted. On one hand, would love to see Wesley, Desmond Xavier, whatever he's going to be going by in TNA, to rejoin the Rascals. I think it would be such a fun dynamic for this group to be fully formed, to have guys in multiple divisions. You could have a tag division duo, which could alternate. You could have an X division guy. You could have one of them going for the world title. There's a lot of potential with a 4-man team of the Rascals. That makes me happy. What doesn't make me happy, what stresses me out, what gives me frustration, I don't want to see WWE just release talent that they don't know what to do with and them just go to TNA because the WWE TNA partnership is still there. So they basically get to use this talent whenever they feel like it without having to pay them their contract rate. It's a very slippery slope. It's a very dangerous place for talent to be. I don't want TNA to just be the fallback for guys who get fired from WWE. In this instance, yes, I'm very happy. I'm very excited at the notion of Desmond rejoining his team because that's a concept that excites me independent of what company it happens in. WWE, TNA, AEW, Ring of Honor, New Japan, House of Glory, wherever it may be. I like that idea. I just don't like how we're getting there. And it's a very dangerous precedent. We've already seen a bunch of knockouts, a bunch of NXT women get released, and some of them have landed in TNA already, and I'm very happy for them because I want them to be able to work. I want them to be able to feed themselves and their families and to keep pushing for their dream. But this feels like a very underhanded tactic that WWE could take advantage of to make sure that they still have their grasp on certain talent without really having to pay them themselves. Slippery slope, scary thing to potentially have to deal with. But as always, time will tell. We go backstage with the other team that went to war at Bound for Glory, Order 4, Mustafa Ali and his posse, the Great Hands, Tasha Steeles, and of course, Agent Zero. Jason Hodge is about to have a match. He's about to go take on Cedric Alexander in the ring. And as they're walking, Mustafa tells them, Hodge, you've got this match. If you guys succeed, if you impress, who knows what could come next? And that's when they come across the Hardys. The Hardys, who are doing a photo shoot. The Order 4 just interrupts them, gets in the way of everything. The Hardys take issue with this. Mustafa says there's not meant to be a problem, but who knows? Maybe the Great Hands, maybe they've got a shot coming for the TNA tag titles. The Hardys said, if you want to mess with the goats, you're going to get the horns. Not a bad line. Not a bad line, Matt. Mustafa says that they don't have a problem, but the Hardys do. And then they walk away, leading to Jason Hodge's match against Cedric Alexander. This was a bit of a quick one. Not much really to say here. Hodge is a guy quite frankly, both members of the Great Hands, John Schuyler, Jason Hotch, there's a lot of potential there. These guys are on basically every TNA roster member's lips as promising stars of the future, promising talent now that are more than capable of going in the ring and more than capable of being a star. And I understand that this match had a purpose, especially with what happened after, but just a little frustrating that Hotch, we're being told and we're not seeing. We have seen the Great Hands have had good matches in TNA. I'd argue they've had great matches in TNA, but we know them as the Fall Guys. So while I'm not saying he should have beaten Cedric Alexander, he didn't. It would have been nice to see him be a little more competitive against Cedric Alexander. Cedric winning with the lumbar check, 1, 2, 3, barely gets to celebrate the win before getting attacked by the remaining members of Order 4, bringing out the Hardys to make the save and clear the ring, saving Cedric Alexander from a vicious beatdown. I'm going to be pissed if the Hardys lose the TNA tag titles to the Great Hands. I know I was just singing their praises, and they deserve to have their praises sung, but no. Moving on, we go to a digital segment that saw BDE, YouTube personality turned wrestler, who got to give him his props. Happy for him. Talking with AJ Francis in the ring during First Class. It's him, and I believe it was Rich Swann. This leads to BDE challenging AJ Francis to a match tomorrow at Turning Point. Francis took issue with this, felt disrespected, and chokeslams BDE through a table. We then go backstage where we see BDE is recovering from the assault. He is joined by the X Division champion, Leon Slater, and Rich Swann. Leon Slater giving his support and his praise to BDE, while Rich Swann berates him and talks down to him. This leads Slater to coming to his defense, calling out Swann, saying, "What have you been doing the last few years? You're a former world champion, a former X Division champion, and lately you've just been AJ Francis's backup." This insults and angers Rich Swann, who challenges Leon Slater to an X Division championship match. It's going to be a good one. I am rooting for Rich Swann both as a human being and as a wrestler. I don't want him to win the X Division championship, but I would be happy to see him get a competitive match in and remind people why he is a former TNA world champion. So something to look forward to. We then have a vignette of Mila Moore. I'll be honest, guys, I'm not too familiar with Mila Moore, but the vignette discusses her history with TNA, her history in professional wrestling in general. She talks about the fact that she didn't grow up watching TNA. She didn't start watching wrestling until till college, and that was after a friend passed away, and she saw it happen in real time, and wrestling was her outlet, her way of overcoming that. Very beautiful story. She talks about trying to earn her way into TNA, earning a contract, but getting hurt. And despite getting hurt, still being given that contract by TNA. And to that, she just says, what took them so long? Very clearly, she's the whole package. The Knockouts division needs some bolstering. I'm not too familiar with Mila Moore, but right now, beyond the fact that we just need bodies, we need personalities. So I'm excited at the notion of someone new joining, helping maybe revitalize the division. Things are looking better. We're getting there. But just looking at this next matchup, it could kind of tell you where we're at a little bit. As we have the TNA Knockouts World Championship on the line as Kalani Jordan defends against Heather by Elegance. Both Elegance women argue that because Ash had to relinquish the title, and they never got a fair chance to go for the title, that they deserve title shots against Kalani Jordan. So it was decided that Heather by Elegance would get the title shot now against Kalani, and whoever is the champion will defend against M by Elegance tomorrow. So that could have been Heather. It could be Kalani. The match itself is okay. I feel bad. Like, I don't want to knock it down too much, but it was a fine matchup. It wasn't like an amazing matchup. And unfortunately, the finish coming. Oh, hold on. Hey, Chris, how are you? Chris saying he can't believe that Mike Santana lost his TNA World Championship. Chris, I implore you to, after the episode, go back and watch the beginning of the episode because I get into it. Everybody is frustrated. Everyone is disappointed. We are all trying to find silver linings, possible positive outcomes that can come from this. And I'm sure we could eventually get there, but we are all very, very, very disappointed as to how this played out. But the finish coming as Kalani sends Heather accidentally into M by Elegance, M hitting Heather and allowing Kalani to hit her split leg moonsault 1, 2, 3, getting the win and successfully retaining the TNA Knockouts World Championship. This, first of all, the attack from M onto Heather looked like it didn't connect. It looked like it missed, and it looked just super clunky. Everybody kind of looked like they didn't really know how to follow that up. It was awkward. We got past it. So the match tomorrow will be Kalani versus M. But again, I do think this speaks to the fact that the division is thin. And unfortunately, it feels like it's a matter of time before we have to go to Tessa Blanchard. I'm not looking forward to it. I'm not advocating for it. But I believe the only big names left in the division are her and Indy. Indy just lost. Zaya Brookside's not quite there yet. And unless they really, really, really want to start pushing Mara Sade, we're just not quite there. It's a bummer. It's a bummer. But the Knockouts division has historically been one of, if not the strongest divisions in TNA. I have faith. Give it some time. They will regrow into something beautiful. Chris LeClaire also saying how Santana's title reign was only 35 days. And if we're being very real, it was only that long because TNA wasn't putting out any content for those 35 days. But I digress. After that match, we have Elijah's concert. Elijah gets in the ring, gives us a fun performance, reveals to us that he had recently had triceps surgery. So he's got a gnarly scar on his elbow where they, I guess, performed the surgery. He's got a screw in his arm. And as he's singing his song, I guess just berating some people of the TNA roster, he is confronted by a disheveled Mustafa Ali, disheveled after the beatdown by the Hardys. Mustafa then disparages Elijah, saying nobody wants to hear him, nobody wants to see him, nobody has any sympathy for him after his surgery. Elijah takes umbrage to this. They get a little physical. Mustafa getting the last laugh as he beats Elijah, specifically his elbow, with his guitar. Mustafa Ali standing tall. Elijah definitely going to be looking to get some revenge sooner than later. We then have slightly awkward, but mostly fine, backstage promos, very clearly pre-taped promos, as the Inspiration, Cassie Lee and Jessie McKay, talk about wanting to continue to build up their legacy as not just the greatest Knockouts tag team champions of all time, but the greatest tag team of all time, period. Like the confidence. So we are getting a match tomorrow at Turning Point. It will be the two of them, joined by the next promo, Tessa Blanchard and Victoria Crawford. Tessa Blanchard said she knows that the Inspiration love taking photos, and they'll be able to take more photos tomorrow after they lose the TNA Knockouts tag titles to them. She says it'll even be iconic, and Victoria Crawford said, no, it'll be inspirational. That opens up for the third team in this matchup, Lei Ying Lee and Zaya Brookside. Lei Ying Lee cuts a promo in her native tongue. Zaya Brookside says that they're ready, and that's going to be our match tomorrow. very scared at the prospect of Tessa Blanchard winning the Knockouts Tag Team titles. Granted, I don't want her winning the world title to begin with, but overall, just we got to deal with Tessa Blanchard. But guys, that was TNA. I agree, Chris. I agree. Yuck, Tessa Blanchard. That was TNA. We started the show by talking about the TNA World Championship situation with Santana having lost to Frankie Kazarian. It's been almost an hour on the pod. I'm still very hot. I'm still very upset. I typically am a very big believer in the let it play out mentality. I don't think it's always fair to judge a story or a concept of a story off its first week, its initial execution. Sometimes you do need to see the next week and the follow-up to know if it's worth it. I want to have faith, but guys, I'm really, really, really frustrated. I went into it already. I don't need a rehash. It was a long month waiting for TNA to return after Bound for Glory. And I feel like our reward was a kick in the pants after such a long wait. And let's see how it plays out. Let's see how it plays out. But I think this was another example of TNA shooting themselves in the foot and not being able to capitalize on what's working for them. And Santana is what's working for them. I wish Frankie Kazarian well as TNA World Champion. I'm not rooting against him, but this was not the time, in my opinion. Not after TNA's white hot streak leading into Bound for Glory. But guys, as much as I don't want to leave on a sour note, we do got to call it. It's late. It's almost my bedtime. I appreciate you guys so much for joining me. It's been a month. I missed you guys here in the Gym Pad Zone. We got to do it more often. Maybe. We'll be here next week. I'm going to do my best to cover Turning Point tomorrow. I can't guarantee that I will. Friday Night Wrestling is always hard. And I'll do my best. I did a lot this week with you guys. I did Monday Night Raw, did Dynamite. Now I did Impact. I'll try to do Turning Point, but no promises. But I will be doing TNA next week. We will be doing, I don't know if I'll be here for Dynamite, but Rev will. Matt will definitely most likely be doing Raw. And like we've been talking about, we got pay-per-views coming, man. And women. Sorry. We've got Full Gear on the 22nd. We've got Survivor Series at the end of the month during Thanksgiving week. Saturday night's main event, John Cena's last appearance in December. Got a lot of wrestling coming up. So stick with us. We're going to have some fun, kids. If you're one of our usuals, like Chris Leclerc, like Fernando, like Maria, thank you guys so much for joining. Really means a lot. You know it. Also stopping by. And, of course, Dan and Eric, thank you. If you're one of our usuals, we love you. Thank you for sticking with us. We have fun. And if you're new and you're just checking us out for the first time, don't know what brought you here, but we appreciate it. Hit that like button. Subscribe. Join the party. We cover everything. WWE, AEW, TNA, New Japan, Ring of Honor for the big stuff, pay-per-views, all that and more. And if you want to check us out elsewhere, check us out on social media. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're on TikTok. We're on Blue Sky. We're on X. I'm sure there are links somewhere. Look it up. Look us up. Mark It Down Pod. In some form, you'll find us. Guys, thank you so, so much for being here tonight. Like I said, I really have missed you. We'll see you soon. Have a great night. As always, watch wrestling and begrudgingly watch TNA. Later.